Oops.
Hi, everybody. It's Laura at Sheer Passion. I know this is so crazy, but I'm going to count this as in the chair tonight because we are technically in chairs. Summer is sitting on the floor, my most gorgeous model. Um, I thought that this would be really cool. I had said Joshua went first I guess, like earlier in the week, but I'd like you to meet one of my very smart, beautiful, young clients. Summer and I were introduced a couple years ago at another salon, and when she walked in, she totally took my breath away. She's so gorgeous. But we actually have a lot in common. She and I live in a very small town, and she started, it was Elizabethtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elizabethtown. But she actually ended up moving over where I live. And so for the last couple of years, Joshua and I, while we were what we consider living in sin, we've not tried to keep that from anybody. So I've talked a little bit about, sex and why God says we shouldn't do that. But Summer is watching me make all of my mistakes up close and personal. So we like to share a lot of things. We like to talk about relationships. We like to talk about how girls treat one another. We've talked about addictions. We've talked about feeling inadequate. We've talked about relying on the Lord. But, just like every other woman on the planet, want to feel beautiful, want to feel accepted, want to be popular, want to make money, as I'm sitting here putting these gorgeous extensions in her hair. Um, I am so grateful that she was willing to sit here and open up and share with everyone what we go through, because I think this is really important for us to understand we're not by ourselves. And I think when we say the word Jesus, people either cringe or you kind of feel like we're in vacation Bible school. Sometimes I feel like when I say Jesus that young people or young adults kind of look at you like we're not in vacation Bible school. How is this relevant? How is this Jesus guy relevant? When I was, Summer, you're 22 or 3?
20.
Okay, Summer's 20. So at this point, I had been dating my very hot-blooded Puerto Rican guy. And, these guys are just too cute for their own good. And we always want to feel accepted and important and beautiful. And, I know what it was like when I was going through it. I'll just let Summer talk. So what do you think relationships are like today? What's your biggest struggle in relationships?
I would say, like, just with the societal changes, like, for me, I don't really fit in with my generation, so it's hard to find someone who has the same beliefs and morals and wants that I do, because my generation seems to focus more on partying and the opposite of their future. Like, they don't really worry about success, whereas I'm all about that. I'm all about helping people, and like, I'm here to make a difference. And I just feel like it's hard to find a significant other that feels the same way. Mm-hmm. I've been blessed that I have been with mine for a little while now. We have our ups and downs, but the biggest struggle is probably just like thriving in a world where there's so many like temptations. Like, I wish I lived back in the 1900s when there was no internet, there was no technology, no anything, because there's just so many things that, so much social media and people getting into your business and mm-hmm. so many things out there that can just cause problems. But I don't know.
Don't you think we all fall into that though? I mean, don't you think we all like to hear the people who've made fun of us, or the people who've put us down, or the people that made us feel uncomfortable in high school or in any kind of, I went to trade school, but don't you think in the beginning our first thought is not to feel like, I wonder what they're going through that's made them like that?
Yeah.
I wonder what they're going through, or what have I gone through that makes me so concerned about my success? And have you ever like sat and been, what if I wasn't focused on success?
Yeah.
Where would I be right now?
Yeah, exactly.
And what would have taken you there? Because I think a lot of it stems from the similarities that you and I have in our families.
Yeah.
That status quo of mom and dad being perfectly married and staying together forever, or having the perfect family where the kids get out of high school, go to college, come home with significant others, make a 6-figure income.
Yeah.
I guess they would still call that the American dream.
I guess, yeah.
But when we don't have that, don't we feel a little left out?
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, I think even in our sitcoms or in our movies, I think they portray us as bizarre.
Yeah.
When we are hardworking women, we can't be sensitive and kind. I'm pretty sure that you and I have that temper in common where we can speak clearly and quickly. Men are different, and Joshua is very kind, but he also is slower than I am to deal with things, and I deal so quickly that sometimes I don't know if we're really patient.
Yeah.
Like we have to be patient in our life, and I know I'm not. I want to be successful yesterday.
Yeah.
I want to be popular yesterday, because I think we still think that if we have those things, that life will just be different for us. But I don't think we realize that from what I've experienced, if we don't understand what respect is in the worst of times, we will never understand it. And I know you and I have talked about the fact that if we speak unkindly to these guys and we are disrespectful, what can happen, even though we feel very justified to yell at them or, tell them to go faster or what are you doing? And I was just outside and I was teasing Joshua because of the paper towels he leaves everywhere. He is a paper towel clumper. I mean, they will literally be all over the house, and he drives me insane with that kind of stuff. I'm constantly reminding him, and it sometimes feels like they don't listen. They're not dogs. See, that's the problem. I think sometimes our culture makes you think that they should listen to us, but I think it's more about communicating and relating. And I think teaching Joshua that he is part of a relationship that needs him to think past the boy stage.
Yeah.
I've really said that to him. Like, you're part of a pair now that literally
Something
is
bigger.
relying on you knowing that.
Yeah.
So you can't just be Joshua.
Yeah.
And that really gets him, because the team, I always said, if we got a call to do the American race, or what is that called, where you have to go find $1 million?
I don't know.
I think it is the Amazing Race. So you have to pick a partner, and you have to listen to each other, and you have to go all over the world and get on airplanes and get to the money first. I always said to him, do we work as a team that values the other person that way? So do we accept each other's strengths and weaknesses? You ever think about that?
Yeah.
I mean, what if Joshua and I were paired together and that's all we had? So we have to make it work. I said, so you're my partner. What do? Do I constantly choose the weaknesses that you have or the strengths?
Yeah.
So those are the things that we kind of work on. But I know we've faced a lot of the same things where we've made decisions to be sexually active. I don't think people understand what that really does. I think that changes the entire tune of the relationship. I think we expect so much from these guys because we're connected to them. It's sort of like you're halfway to being married. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You totally believe that this guy is it for you. I know what that feeling is like. And I think there's a lot of women around the world that believe if they're sexually active with the guy that everything's going to work out. But have you noticed how sex never fixes anything?
No, it doesn't. It causes more problems.
I think sex gets one of those is so confusing because, if you're like you and I, where we understand the Bible clearly states that we're supposed to abstain from it, and we chose to do it anyway. How do we forgive ourselves? How do we move on? How do we not use it as a weapon? How do we not get caught up in going, no, wait a minute, I'm going to keep that from him because he pissed me off. Or I'm going to be like, that's it, we're done, because it's so intimate, it's so hurtful. And I think a lot of times in this culture, that's exactly what we think first, is that we can control things with sex, and yet we've had sex and nothing is in control. And I think that was one of the major things that I recognized. I watched people around me who were married who had also had sex, and nothing was perfect. So I think sex gets a bad rap because there's so much shame in it. Do you think that it's been It's been one of those subjects where there's a lot of shame in it that people can't, like, I mean, you and I don't go to Starbucks and just start up a sex conversation.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a secret.
Yeah.
Like, if people have issues with sex, they don't understand it. They don't feel confident in bed. They don't know how to approach it. A lot of people will say, no, I don't want that, or they use alcohol as a way to sort of open things up. Have you noticed what can happen from there? It's like, because that subject is kind of scary and embarrassing. You ever feel that people are very proud of their sexuality? Like, they would quickly share it with you? Or do you feel like they kind of keep it secretive?
I guess it depends on the type of person you're talking to. If you're talking about my generation, there's lots of girls that don't find shame in talking about it, which is something I think should, to a certain extent, be personal. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas someone like me, like, yeah, I guess I'm not just going to walk up to a stranger and be like, want to talk about sex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think a lot of times when people are hurting, we don't know how to relate. We really don't. Our generation is a little different. Social media isn't new to Joshua and I.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think your generation has it a little different. I think Twitter.
Yeah.
And I remember MySpace.
That was, yeah.
I've never had a MySpace.
That was a while ago.
I think it's similar to Facebook.
Yeah, pretty similar.
But do you think that's where there's a lot of pressure for girls between the ages of 17 to 20 when you're graduating high school and you're still kind of picking your career?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because a lot of people want to post certain things that may feel good in the time, like for attention, but today, for instance, my first day of my new job, and they actually brought that up, and they said, if you have Facebook, you have social media, clean it up, because your employers look at that, and now you're a part of our team, and your face is a part of our name, and we don't want anything like that on social media. And I think girls that going through like identity crisis in high school and everything, when they post certain things, you know, their employer can go back and look at that. So
absolutely,
it's kind of like
now when you heard that, what was your first thought?
My first thought was, I'm glad that I mean, I do post things on Facebook, but nothing that I would be ashamed of my employer to see. It's nothing like you know, nothing like explicit or anything. Like, my employer could gladly go on my Facebook, and I thought, like, wow, actually it feels good to sit here and feel comfortable with the fact that I know I respect myself enough that I don't post anything that would upset an employer in the first place. So
I've never felt like I need to hide anything on my Facebook page. I'm still trying to figure out what in the world is going on that Facebook is this huge issue. So what could be happening in a job that they're like, you know, Summer, we're going to be checking your Facebook page for an entire country that is all about privacy.
Yeah.
And how an entire country is all about do whatever makes you happy. Mm-hmm. You don't find that bizarre?
Yeah.
That your Facebook page is, they can't ask you certain private questions before they hire you.
Yeah.
But then after they hire you, you might as well give them your unborn child.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It would be great if they would identify respect.
Yeah.
Hey, we're looking for really respectful people.
Yes.
So Facebook has a tendency to say or do things that you don't have to get with that person and make them feel comfortable and cared for. We ask that you're a person of character and that you refrain from saying negative things about coworkers or the business on Facebook, because it can be misconstrued. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine how wonderful that would be?
Yeah.
If they said, hey, Summer, we're hiring you because you are going to be great at this, and we just want to stress how important it is to keep your Facebook page the same way that we see you here at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we ask that you don't do hateful things about coworkers. Please come to us first. Please allow us the first right of refusal to clean up our own act.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that, I mean, that's the thing. It's all back to respect. Like, now you have to make them look great.
Yeah.
How does Facebook have the control?
Yeah. You're
talking about the individual. If you don't make the individual feel special and important, that the individual that puts things on Facebook, has anyone... What do you think when somebody puts something negative or unkind on Facebook specifically to gouge?
I think they are hurting as a person, or, I mean, there has to be a reason they feel negative. I think I don't know. I think that they're just not happy within themselves, so they have to take out their anger on others or vent.
Right.
I mean, and that's like, I guess, certain types of negative things. Maybe other types of negative things are they're doing it because they feel maybe they need support, or I guess there's two different types of, you can look at it. Negative things as in like, oh, I had a bad day or something like that. Maybe they just need support. Whereas negative things like, oh, I hate this person, or I don't know. Like, there's two different types.
Yeah, and Messenger allows us to take care of heated discussions or discussions that could get out of hand privately. Have they gotten out of hand on Messenger? Yes, they have. But, Messenger is basically it's funny because things like that come out and I don't always get involved in them, even though I am using YouTube to sort of connect other people together. I want to use social media. I think it can be so positive. Yeah. I'm actually sad that social media has become a negative place because Messenger came out and people were like, oh, I'm not getting it, oh, this thing, this, that, and the other. And it really is a great email system to people directly. When people are like, hey, do you have an email address? Are you on Facebook? Facebook is actually very quick, very convenient.
Yeah.
So as much as it has good things on there, we really do use it to not only hurt ourselves. Have I spied on people's pictures? You better believe it. I'm a human being. Have I looked at pictures and thought, what's going on? Because this person's being negative. So let me get onto these pictures. Let me see what I can see from the picture itself. And I'll go in and I'll look at smiles and I'll look at eyes. I'll look at the pain that can be behind a lot of pictures. And there's times where I'm like, Joshua, something's wrong. This person was not like this before. Something's wrong. Yeah. And of course, it always comes back to another human being and how we are actually being hurt by another human being. You get up and your bed doesn't smack you. You get up and your sheets don't catch you at the ankle and trip you.
Yeah.
You go into the kitchen and your food doesn't say, nah, not today. And so we're always talking about a human being that's capable of hurting another human being. It could be parents, it could be a coworker, a boss, anything, a teacher. And so we really don't know how to relate because I believe, I was saying, I don't know if you had seen, I did a video, I believe it was yesterday, a couple days, about relating to people. I would love a world that would try to relate. I'm not saying we have to be best of friends. Why do we have to be best of friends? Aren't you and I alive in the same general area? We're both women. I've been the age that you're at. You're on your way to being the age I am now. We can relate.
Yeah.
We can talk to one another even if we disagree on a subject. I think that's when we have to relate the most. And I have been telling people that I believe the reason that our culture is going downhill in relationships is because we don't relate.
Yeah.
Relationships cannot be money and sex.
Yeah.
We do not relate with money and sex because if we take money and sex away, we're so much more than those two things. Therefore, that's not the deep fiber that we relate on. Money and sex is great because of all the other stuff that comes in.
Yeah.
So your boyfriend, first of all, has to make you feel a certain way. And then he's also attractive, right?
Yeah.
So he makes you feel a certain way and he's attractive. So then you can feel a sexual connection to him. Wouldn't you have sex though with him if you felt that connection without money?
Yeah.
The reality is yes.
Yeah, money has nothing to do with
exactly
how I feel about. I mean, there are people out there that are like that, but that is definitely not me.
Right, and I think if you look really deeply into somebody who's focused on money, is that they've never had it.
Yeah.
Or they've had it and they believe that that's what the relationship is built on.
Yeah.
We have to be able to say, hey, Summer, I'm really glad that you're reaching for these goals. What's your end goal in a lifestyle? Would you like a large home, lots of kids, small home, couple of kids? You have to try to relate because you have to say, well, first of all, it's not just about how big the house is or how many kids it'll be. You really would have to think about how long it'll take you to work, how many hours it'll require you to be at work and not with your children, and then what kind of lifestyle do you want based on the job that you're choosing. And you're going to be serving people all day long.
Yep.
And then you're going to go home and you're going to have to serve your husband and your children. Yep. And women are so good at that.
Yeah.
We are. That's not necessarily tough for us. We're built like that.
Yeah.
But the sound of it and then the actual doing it are two different things.
Well, and to me, I think it's me personally, it's rewarding to serve people and to help people. And I like to like cook a nice dinner and so like I can't wait to be I wouldn't call myself like I'll be a housewife, but I'll be a housewife that also works and makes her own money and supports my family. I'm not just gonna be a housewife. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but to me, I think as long as the family and the husband make you feel appreciated and respected, and they acknowledge the fact that you serve people all day and then come home and serve them, that's rewarding in itself. If you have a family, if you have people that surround you that appreciate those things. Now, if I was say I was married to an abusive husband or someone who never said thank you or anything like that, then I wouldn't want to come. It wouldn't make me want to come home and do those nice things. No. But so it depends on how the people that you're with treat you, I guess.
It's true. And I think when I was in counseling at your age, and counseling is a dirty word. Mm-hmm. I feel like when people say counseling, you might as well have said you have a bomb in your purse, because you get that look like, what? What did you just seriously say out loud that everybody could hear? I mean, why are you saying those things? I think we have a misconception of what respect is. Mm-hmm. I think you and I live in a culture that believes that Laura can give Summer respect if she chooses to. So it's a thing that we kind of have and we give to someone else. When I'm saying, no, we have to accept it for ourselves. And that's how we identify when we share it with others. Mm-hmm. So respect isn't something that we give away. It's we share it with others. Mm-hmm. And I think the world, like your job, is going to require that you will talk to your boss in the most respectful way.
Oh, yeah.
If you choose not to, that will not be okay with them.
Yeah.
And so, there's a big difference there. I don't think anyone understands that if you and I can't love ourselves first and choose respect with food and health and thoughts, then it's going to be very hard to give it out.
Yeah.
And when you and I were in high school, it is one thing to be catty at a certain age, but as you and I get older, I think we are required to be very careful what we say and what we do. And that is a little different than how I see the world describing it. Mm-hmm. I think it creeps in that we say these cliche lines. I deserve respect.
Yeah.
You know how we say those things, I deserve respect.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I do agree. I think when we identify it in a relationship, I deserve respect. But what about the actual line? I, meaning I from you, not from another individual. I deserve respect. How do you get that? See, that is the thing that I find the hardest in the chair at the salon. Mm-hmm. There are so many people that come in and won't look directly at themselves or in the mirror. It's as if it wouldn't even matter if it was a heavy woman or a thin woman. I have identified that there is this issue that the I in the sentence, is not truly respected. Mm-hmm. Hair is one of those things that is still culturally expected.
Yeah.
Where it's culturally expected that you get your hair done.
Yeah.
So even if you're not paying your bills, you're going to get your hair done.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times I'm telling people, I really shouldn't be the first bill you have to deal with when you're trying to get out of debt. If you can't afford me, then don't come. But it's okay, because I got into an industry that I knew would be a luxury for many homes instead of relying on a few. And over the years, I've really seen that as I've held up the respect for myself to get enough sleep, to get enough water, to get enough time off my feet, to work out at the gym, to sit and meditate just on my own thoughts, like how is my attitude today? I don't find many people doing that.
Yeah, no.
And I've noticed that conversations are usually about superficial things, but not real deep issues. Like, where are we going with our lives? Mm-hmm. What are we doing to be different? And how are we achieving those goals? Because I think very quickly in culture, it has kind of creeped in that we're going to live with our parents for the rest of our lives,
Yeah.
Kind of like milk off the mom and dad years.
No way.
And,
get me out. No.
Yeah, and so you're very independent.
I do not want to live with my parents. I can't wait to be successful enough to get out and make a name for myself and not I don't understand. This is the one thing that really irritates me. Why kids that are way older than me, not kids, adults that are way older than me, think that it's okay or that it's how can you feel proud about yourself when your mommy and daddy pay all your bills? Like, I don't know how they feel any self-worth, or like, what do they accomplish at the end of the day? Like, to me, like, the end of every month when I write out all my checks and mail out all my bills or pay them online, whichever way it is, I'm like, yeah, like, I worked hard this month and I paid my bills, and it feels great. Like,
Right.
People, I just don't understand that. Like, oh, I don't have any bills, so I can still have all fun. And no, like, grow up, take care of yourself, stop depending on mommy and daddy. It just really irritates me. I guess it's only because, though, like you said earlier, I don't have that perfect knit family where I go off to college and mommy and daddy are perfectly married, and I come back and mommy and daddy take care of everything. Like,
Right.
yeah, I've had a great childhood. I've, you know,
In the scheme of things, we can agree that
Yeah.
we would take ours over
yeah,
other young girls.
exactly. I don't want to be a spoiled little girl that just goes to college that mommy and daddy are paying for while I'm up there partying. And
Right.
like, no, I mean, yeah, they might be successful as well, but like, I already feel successful now, even though I don't have a fortune. I feel self-worth, and I just can't imagine how anyone that doesn't even pay their own bills can feel good about themselves at the end of the day or the end of the month or anything.
How crazy is it that we both see that in our culture? And it does frustrate me. I'm frustrated as a 34-year-old woman because I see it as more than paying bills.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when you pay bills, people think it's just you won't have as much money.
Mhm.
I believe that you have to have blood, sweat, and tears invested in things that you do because it will have no value.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I picked up on, you're a first child and so am I.
Mhm.
Is it because we are firstborn that when we are in the family unit, we are very independent from our parents? Once we learn how to do something, do we take it from there? People will debate the birth order until the end of time.
Yeah.
But I've also had a similar situation where I have siblings and you have siblings, and we also know people from high school that take advantage of the system, and they're still milking off their credit cards or milking off their parents, or they get an inheritance because somebody passed, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
You're like, really? Like, that is so not the reality. And what's going to happen when, let's say you and I never get to go back. I don't get to go back to the salon. You don't get to go back to your job. And we just have to sort of walk the earth and talk. Mm-hmm. Who is Summer outside of this job? Who is Laura outside of her job? I think when it comes right down to it, my perfect world would be when people realize how valuable you are when you have absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And if we could get every single person on the planet to not identify themselves as a multimillionaire, blue collar, white collar, upper middle class, if we could do that, could you imagine the change that would come in every single time you're at work? Because you chose it. I chose to be a hairstylist. You chose to be a nurse. And so when you're at work, this isn't like the status quo. This isn't how life ended up. You chose this route, and if this route doesn't work out, you're not beaten.
Yeah.
You're not worthless. You're not unvaluable. It's just what it is today. And you go in and you do your very best because summer matters to you. So each day, if it ever gets to the point where somebody's being disrespectful, we won't be putting it on Facebook, but we'll be like, Laura, did you have this in your jobs? You better believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I did have employers that were disrespectful. I'm sure I was at times. I'm sure my tone of voice or my attitude, the longer I was there and I saw that things weren't the way that I thought they should be. Yeah, I think I'm pretty capable of having a tone of voice that lets you know I'm not happy about it. And I worry about that for young people because I see you guys being, first of all, the economy is in so much debt. And you guys are required to sort of take on all of that responsibility right away. And I think that can be scary because the American dream is changing. And I believe it's
almost impossible now.
Yeah. That it almost feels like you'll be reaching and reaching and reaching and reaching.
And working and working
you're not
and working. And they just keep taking and giving it to people who aren't working.
Yeah, you might want to tell them, when you were first introduced to working, I think that would be neat for them to hear.
When I first started working, like at, what you mean, what age? Since I can remember, I mean, when I was like, I don't even know, I worked, like maybe 12.
Yeah.
I worked full time at my stepmom's horse facility. Like, I went every day. I was at the horse barn until sundown. I mean, and even until I'd be there till 9 o'clock some nights. Then I'd come home, do my schoolwork, go to bed, and do it all over again. And then I went to help run my mom's business.
Yeah.
And I'm there 5 days a week, 5, 6, whenever.
Yep.
I mean, I go to school. I mean, I can't remember a time when I didn't work, to be
Right.
honest. Like, I've been working since I was little, but I wouldn't complain about it because both my parents are both entrepreneurs. So I was raised in a family where we all worked hard, and I was brought up to work hard. So it really frustrates me that I've been working hard since I was old enough to be, functional pretty much.
Yeah.
And I still continue to work hard, and I will the rest of my life. And then our new government is just like,
It's neat that you're plugged into what society is changing. I think a lot of times the federal government becomes like a mommy daddy.
Yeah.
And because we don't really have healthy relationships with moms and dads, I think you and I can agree. We want a mom and a dad, but we don't want an ATM and a motel.
Yeah.
So when you are treating parents like an ATM or a motel, you and I have a really hard time with that.
Yeah.
Because we don't see independence and responsibility.
Yep.
And then we have a really hard time respecting those people because we have so very little in common. And when we have very little in common other than breathing air, I would think it's safe to say that when you're in a room and people are talking about when they're going on vacation or what they just bought or they got to go get their hair done or they're buying things off the menu, and very quickly you hone in on money and responsibility and how very little of it they hold.
Yeah.
And so we become very judgmental. I know I've done it myself. I think we judge very quickly. How does that person think that they can do that when if everyone on the planet did that, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Restaurants wouldn't be open. They don't just open themselves. They don't just hire waitresses.
Yeah.
Do waitresses always show up? I think there was a generation where waitresses were sort of like the chicken wing of all jobs. And now, try waitressing. What do Americans complain about? My body, my feet, my back, the hours. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you really kidding me? Waitresses have it tough. I mean, you need to have health to deal with people and food all day long, even just the smell of it.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't think anyone realizes how difficult it is to actually smell food all day long.
Yeah.
It makes you kind of like disgusted.
Yeah.
I know I started working at a young age as well, but you have so much work ethic, and maybe that's why we have so much in common is because I see how hard you work, and I felt very much like that. But I think my issue is you and I can't fix them.
Yeah.
And it's not our job to fix them. But I think what also is frustrating is, will it ever change? How does it affect society? I mean, if you and I never say another word about somebody else's work ethic or living with mom and dad, has anyone stopped to think about what it's going to produce?
I don't even I always say I want a family and I want kids, but at the rate that our world's going, I don't even know, if I want to bring kids in. I mean, I do want kids, but it's scary knowing that, I'm going to bring kids into a world with, my generation. They're going to be grown up, but I don't know. I feel like everything's going to be computerized and technology because people are so lazy that they don't want to work.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that if you didn't work with mom, do you think you would have wanted to work as hard as you do?
I mean, I have that sense of independence. I want to be independent, and I don't want to have to ask mommy, Mom, I need money, or Mom, pay this bill. Yeah, she's there for me, but once again, I feel a sense of self-accomplishment that I can do all that for myself. And if I didn't want to work hard, then I wouldn't be able to do those things. So I think it goes hand in hand, and I don't know, I like financial stability. So if I didn't want to work hard, then I wouldn't have financial stability. So yeah, I'd probably always want to work hard.
Yeah, I think it's different if you and I had started working very hard and very long hours after getting off maybe a part-time job for many, many years, and then if you and I had lived in our parents' home for free,
Mhm.
or you didn't have any responsibility to pay any kind of insurances, even just working the amount of hours you work
Mhm.
to have free rent
Yeah.
is basically a trade-off, because
Yeah.
they're using your labor
Mhm.
and then allowing you to live rent free, which is
Yeah.
really, how's that any different than the Mexicans?
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
I mean, like we hear about people in our country working for free,
Mhm.
but would Americans last working the hours they work?
Oh.
I mean, what's free?
No.
What's free if you
Yeah.
have no hours left in the day?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you go home afterwards and you get to stay with mom,
Mhm.
but then not only do you work with family, then you're around family. That's
Yeah.
very difficult.
Yes.
That is very difficult to be a part of, because you guys
Yes.
don't have any downtime.
Yeah.
And if you're frustrated with one another,
It goes
how
home.
do you give each other space?
Yeah, you don't. It's very hard to work with family. It's very
Mhm.
hard to be in a family business. And like you said, like we really don't ever have downtime. I can't remember the last time we got to sit down and have like a family dinner, because
Somebody's always working.
yeah,
If mom's home, you're there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe now with like my new job, that will change a little, and our relationship will get stronger,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll get closer again. But
And see, people have debated me, and you know that I've had to take time from my own family because we don't see eye to eye on major issues that cause us to lack so much respect and in common that, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to call it quits. You have to pardon the total differences. And how can separation make a relationship stronger? I don't think you know what you have until you don't have it.
yeah,
I mean that for everyone in the world.
Yeah.
I really don't think you understand what you have until you just don't have it anymore.
Yep.
And so your mom and you can have a deeper relationship when you actually have time apart, because then you miss each other.
Can appreciate each other more.
Yeah, you actually want to know what happened. And if she says something about how it went crazy at the restaurant, of all people, you know how that can be.
Yes.
So now you're very comforting. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that person,
Yeah.
or oh my gosh, that couple, or oh my word, not that guy again.
Mhm.
And how quickly all of the stuff that drove you nuts before can be something that can be super comforting.
Yeah.
Josh, when I told him that we were going to have to take time away from the toxic behavior of the family, this had been since I was 16 years old, in counseling and talking about how we just are not responsible. And again, the biggest thing that I think anyone wants is accountability.
Mhm.
So if you call a waitress out about not cleaning up her tables, or not stocking, or taking something at night that she's not supposed to, I think what we're looking for is, you're right, I did.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah.
You're right. And I deserve to be fired, but I ask for mercy, or I
Mhm.
ask for grace, because that we can relate to.
Yes.
What we can't relate to is the lying.
Liars. Yep.
And because relating with a lie
Mhm.
only gets you so far.
Yeah.
Because then where do you go from there? So if that person doesn't say, you're right, I was wrong.
Mhm.
See, we get that we've done it and we wish we hadn't, but then what we're really looking for is that relation, that person knows it's wrong and they're asking for mercy, or, you know what, let me get my stuff. This isn't the first time that this has happened. I clearly need to stop lashing out and hurting your family. So these are the things that you and I mean, have we not lived like parallel lives? It's a little crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It is a little crazy how we've had very difficult things. Not only have we experienced what a family business is like,
Yeah.
there's very little accountability in family businesses, because who is going to uphold the leadership and the authority?
Yeah.
And when the end of the day comes and it's somebody's wife, or it's somebody's son, or it's somebody's daughter, or it's somebody's brother, I don't think anyone realizes how difficult respect is in a normal business setting,
Yeah.
let alone a sibling or a parent.
Yes.
Because ultimately, if it's time for you to get off work and somebody else needs to be responsible,
Mhm.
they're very quickly gonna hold that responsibility to the kin.
Yeah.
And it's not nice. And I've said it many times. We don't really think that families should work together until they have to have a job somewhere else.
Mhm.
And I think if you do have a job somewhere else, you start to recognize some of the little perks
Yeah.
that come along with being in a family business
Yeah.
are no longer taken for granted, but just amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's like anything else. I don't think you learn respect in an environment that has none.
Yeah.
I think you
exactly.
learn it in an environment that requires you to have it.
Yes.
And so if each person has to go in and feel like they've earned the job,
Mhm.
then then I believe that you're a little bit more concerned if you lose it.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
instead of good, fire me. That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
please fire me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that. Oh gosh. You know, all of my bosses hate hair. How can you hate hair?
Yeah.
This stuff is awesome. I'm back here watching as everything changes. It's getting longer and it's looking amazing.
Yeah.
Summer actually chose the platinum color. I mean, you can't even tell the difference in her ends, but look how much longer it's getting. It's literally like growing in front of her eyes. And you can see that it's like blonde the whole way up. It's just gorgeous. I love it. It's very fun.
I'm excited.
She's going to have thick, luscious, gorgeous hair for dinner. I would say that, I mean, God for me, when I realized that the whole world, the underlying tone of disrespect is because I don't think we really believe we're loved by him.
Yeah.
We really don't understand Jesus' love for us, the fact that he would die on the cross and that he would do that and he would warn us that there would be so many issues out here. The minute we believe in him and the minute we trust in him, things would just start to react in a way that is not always comfortable.
Yeah.
And if we can't accept that he loves us, I don't think we can accept true respecting in our culture. Has anyone ever, as long as you've lived, always made good money, never had any issues, never had anyone disrespect them, lose sight of their goal, disappoint you, not keep a promise? I haven't met very many people that can stay on that path. I don't think that there are many adults out there that can actually stay on that healthy path. That's a problem. Because what ends up happening is that where is our standard? So why do Summer and Laura continue to work on their careers? Why do Summer and Laura continue to pay their bills and not ask somebody else to do it? Why do we continue to work on relationships? What's the reason? You know, what's the underlying standard that people have if they don't have faith? And that was my concern. God said that a lot of people wouldn't choose him. I don't think anyone understood the consequences in culture when we didn't. And how religion is the acts of something and how faith is in something you cannot see. So wouldn't you say that, like, we've worked kind of like a religion? I mean, we get up and we go to work. Very religious-like, right?
Yeah.
It's an act of something. We have work ethic, so we go to work.
Yeah.
But faith is very different. So if you get to work and something doesn't work out or something doesn't go your way, are you going to give up or are you going to push through that?
Push through.
And see, religion is very different than faith in Jesus. Religion to say his name, religion to say that you believe in God is very different than really understanding Jesus' love for us and accepting it. And I've watched that. I wish it didn't have to sound so cliche, because I think that a lot of times people think if you say that, you're kind of like wimpy. I'm not wimpy at all. I am like the least wimpy girl out here. But I think people have to understand your daughters, your sons, your sisters, cousins, brothers, moms, dads, when they leave the house in the morning, if you don't have somebody who truly understands, hey, Summer's in my community. So if I run into her mom, her brother, her boyfriend, when we're out, I will treat them with the utmost of respect because they're in my community and I live here. And so I want them to understand they're so important and special, and we don't always get to see each other and we don't have an issue with one another. So it would be easy for us. There are people out there that it's not so easy to get along with because we don't always see eye to eye. But I do see value in spending time respecting myself. And then when I'm out, respecting other people. And that's because of my standard in the Lord, not because of my standard in me. My standard in me has changed some days, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's been days where I'm like, okay, I love hair. And then there's been days where I'm like, that's it, I'm quitting.
I'm done.
You know?
Yeah.
I've worked 14 hours, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. No more drama.
Yeah.
But it's been great. And so that's one of the things that I want people to understand. We are not alone. And it's not going to get easier. But I think... I mean, I've pushed through 16 years.
Yeah.
May 1st, and look at me now.
Yeah.
Starting to change the hours and really do what I want, and that's talk to people and let them know they're not alone.
Yeah.
And we've got to start relating, and we've got to start sharing, and we have to start talking about difficult subjects, because if we don't, I don't think anyone will. You know, you go to a dance club, and people always say, why is anyone dancing? Because they're waiting for that first person to get on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's me. I was always the first person to get on the dance floor. I've never had alcohol. I don't drink. And very quickly, I was also the first person to get on the dance floor.
That's fun.
Yeah, because I think it always takes that one person who says, "Who cares if we mess up?"
Yeah.
That's the point in life. Who cares? How about we just have fun?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't everybody go to the dance club to have fun?
Mm-hmm.
Did you come here to have somebody count your steps and say you messed up? No, I'm pretty sure you came to have fun. So just go have fun.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
No, see, people, you can't do much if you don't have self-confidence. And that's one of the things that I've learned. You have to just accept that you're not going to be perfect and things isn't always going to work out perfectly, but it's worth working on. Well, we missed Summer's boyfriend tonight, but I think it was great. It was a great introduction to seeing how many gorgeous clients that I get in my chair. And we will have to show you what her hair looks like. We'll have to post a picture on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, stay tuned for In the Chair, folks. Thanks so much. Cheese for the camera.